December 530 BC, a few hundred years after the life and death of the historical inspiration for the legendary Asian Queen Semiramis, another amazing ancient Asian queen reigned. This 6th century woman, Tomyris, whose name means brave, led her armies to victory against the forces of the First Persian Empire, then ruled by Cyrus the Great. Despite Cyrus's previous military successes over the course of decades, Tomyris finally succeeded where others had failed by defeating the Persians and killing Cyrus. Although historical accounts about the exact details of Cyrus's death vary. By 530 BC, Cyrus the Great had spent nearly 30 years establishing a massive empire. He conquered in succession such Asian peoples as the Medes, the Lydians, and the Babylonians. He next set his sights on the lands of the Massagetæ, who were then ruled by a woman named Tomyris, a name that has numerous spellings. Tomyris ruled an area of Central Asia that is now perhaps parts of modern Afghanistan, Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, and Turkmenistan. Desiring these Central Asian lands in an attempt to bring peace and stability to the northern borders of his empire, Cyrus, whose previous wife and queen had died several years prior, now offered marriage to Tomyris, whose husband had also died some time earlier. Nevertheless, being suspicious of Cyrus's intentions, Tomyris rejected his proposal, and so he instead prepared to take her kingdom by force. Tomyris warned Cyrus,
"King of Persia, abandon your zeal for this enterprise. You cannot know if in the end it will come out right for you. Stop and rule your own people, and put up with the sight of me ruling mine. But no, you are hardly going to take this advice, since peace is the last thing you desire. If you really are committed to a trial of strength with the Massagetæ, you need not bother with all the hard work of bridging the river. We will pull back 3 days' journey away from the river, and then you can cross over into our land. Or, if you would rather meet us in your land, you withdraw the same distance."
Cyrus decided to challenge Tomyris in her land. To defeat the Massagetæ, Cyrus set a trap. He learned that his enemy were not experienced with the effects of wine, and so he left a small force of Persians as bait for the Massagetæ to attack. After slaughtering this Persian bait, the Massagetæ discovered a large stock of food and wine at the Persian camp. The seemingly victorious Massagetæ then ate and drank themselves into a point of being relatively incapacitated when Cyrus attacked with a larger Persian force. The inebriated and surprised Massagetæ were defeated with many killed or captured, including Tomyris' son, Spargapesus. After learning that Cyrus had used trickery to capture her son, Tomyris angrily said,
"You bloodthirsty man, Cyrus, what you have done should give you no cause for celebration. You used the fruit of the vine, the wine which you swill until it drives you so mad that it sinks into your bodies. Foul language rises up to your tongues. That was the drug? That was the trick you relied on to overcome my son, rather than conquering him by force and battle? Now I am giving good advice, so listen carefully. Give me back my son, and then you can leave this country without paying for the brutality with which you treated a third of the Massagetan army. But if you do not, I swear by the son who is the lord of the Massagetæ, that for all your insatiability, I will quench your thirst for blood."
After Spargapesus recovered from his drunkenness and realized what had happened, he begged Cyrus for freedom. Cyrus obliged, but the humiliated Spargapesus quickly committed suicide. With his suicide died any remaining chance of peace between Cyrus and Tomyris. In the subsequent hard-fought battle between the forces of Cyrus and those of Tomyris, not only did the warrior woman's army defeat and manage to kill the great king and wipe out most of his Persians who fought in the battle, she subsequently had his corpse beheaded and then crucified, giving overkill a new definition. She reportedly even thrust his head into a wineskin full of human blood, declaring the following:
Although I have come through the battle alive and victorious, you have destroyed me by capturing my son with a trick. But I warned you that I would quench your thirst for blood, and so I shall.
Ancient historians wrote of her victory over Cyrus, including the renowned historian Herodotus. But as is often the case in these ancient accounts, those accounts were written a century or so after the actual events. Still, the exploits of Tomyris rank her high in the pantheon of great warrior women, and when 14th century pundits wrote of the female worthies, Tomyris was included by Eustache Deschamps and other writers. The 9 worthies was a list of great men in groups of 3 categories, pagans, Jews, and Christians, that appeared in the early 14th century by various authors. Apparently a few decades later it occurred to some poets to make another list of worthies that would enumerate 9 women of great accomplishment. These lists varied among authors. Although many modern people in the Western world may not be familiar with Tomyris and her deeds, she does appear in some wonderful works of art, including by the Baroque master Rubens, and her name is often given to newborn girls in Turkey and Central Asia, while a group of butterflies' scientific name bears her name, as does a minor planet, 590 Tomyris. More significantly to modern gamers, Tomyris appears in the August 6, 2016 release of Firaxis Games' Sid Meier's Civilization VI, joining the ranks of other legendary women rulers who have appeared in the series, such as Celtic leader Boudica. As a question for my female colleagues, why has everyone from medieval Christian Europeans to modern video game makers continued to consider this ancient Asian ruler worthy of comparison with other great women leaders in world history? What makes her story so compelling to so many people of such different backgrounds?
A lot of women throughout history took up the sword in defense of their people. Yet Tomyris stands out as one of the most striking examples. After all, Cyrus the Great was such a formidable emperor. The idea that he could have been defeated in the end by an army that was led by a vengeful mother is certainly worthy of remembrance. There are many tales about the ancient female barbarians of the north, but the historians and poets of the past describe them mostly in generic terms. Herodotus gives us a vivid portrayal of one such leading lady. Many other female warriors engaged in epic battles, including Joan of Arc, Boudica, and Zenobia. Unfortunately, these women met defeat in the end. In the story of Tomyris, we find the legend of a brave woman who stood her ground against the most powerful army of the day, and won.
As a question for my students and subscribers, do you consider Tomyris a worthy woman? Should she have accepted Cyrus's proposal of marriage? How might history have occurred differently had she done so? Please let us know in the comment section below this video. As a final note, this video is part of a collaboration of history YouTubers called Project Her Story. A link to the collaboration's full playlist is in the description for this video, but you can also check out my video's end cards for links to the videos that are ordered immediately before and after my video in the collaboration playlist, including History with Cy's look at the historical inspiration for the mythical Queen Semiramis, and History Time's take on the legendary Celtic queen Boudica. If you like this video and would like to receive notification of new videos, please feel welcome to subscribe to History and Headlines and become one of our patrons. Your viewership is much appreciated.